Lost in the fact that the Dolphins lost their third game of the season last night, the Titans finally got off the schneid, as the Swami would say, getting a win, thanks in large part to the fact that Will Levis injured himself early in the game, diving for a first down. And I understand there are certain circumstances where a quarterback needs to throw caution to the wind, put his health in even more danger than it inherently is playing football, but you still got to be smart with your body. Levis injures his shoulder, opens the door for Mason Rudolph, and Brian Callahan, he sold it as best he could. Oh, he's injured. Oh, baloney. Levis could have played. Rudolph was playing well. The offense was moving as well as it has in a long time. Mason Rudolph is staying out there, and Mason Rudolph did for the rest of the game, and the Titans pick up their first victory 31-12. And Callahan saying that Levis will be back when he's healthy. They have a bye week coming up. He can say all he wants. I think the eyeball test tells us Mason Rudolph puts that team in better position to win games.
First test for the rookie head coach. When the media starts to ask him, well, wait a minute, didn't you say this after the Monday night game? You didn't. Well, you told me then that Will Levis was your starting quarterback 100%. Now, what happened? Well, we looked at the film during the bye week. We had some time to self-scout. I'm with you. Like Mason Rudolph, I don't know what his record is in limited time as a starter. I think he has a pretty good record. And the stats never look great. But in his time with Pittsburgh, they won more games than you think they should have won with Mason Rudolph as a quarterback. Remember last year down the stretch when they're trying to make a move for a playoff position and they actually make it? He got them in position in a few games, played well enough to get the victory. And then last night, he knows what he's doing. It's not impressive, Mike, but it's good enough to get you where you're trying to go. Last night, just a quick thing. Right before the half, they're trying to get in a field goal position. He makes a nice throw over the middle, gets the team down in position, spiked the ball, like a second or two left in the first half. They get a field goal out of it. He just knows how to run an offense. He's never going to be that 18 for 18 for 292 guy. But if it's Mason Rudolph versus Will Levis, give me Mason Rudolph.
Now, last night doesn't count as a start because obviously he didn't start, #analysis. But as a starter in the NFL, Mason Rudolph is 8-4-1. So your instincts were absolutely correct. And the Steelers kind of hung around against Buffalo in the wild card round 2023 longer than anyone expected. The Bills never really delivered the kind of knockout you would have expected in Josh Allen versus Mason Rudolph. That's a cupcake, not main event match on the card for the wrestling or the boxing event that night. It should be a laugher, and it wasn't. So Rudolph can play. Rudolph was in demand in the offseason. The Steelers kind of wanted to bring him back, but I think Rudolph, I need to check my numbers on here. It's possible Mason Rudolph is making more or close to as much as the entire quarterback depth chart in Pittsburgh combined this year. So the Titans saw something in him. They did what the Dolphins could have done but didn't do. Let's have a guy who can come in and play.
There's another guy
when we need him.
Yep, there's another one. Mason Rudolph, not great, but can run your offense and is like these quarterbacks. I don't know where Rudolph ranked in the the Chris Sims quarterback rankings that he did. What did he do? The top 40. But he's one of those guys that is somewhere in the 40 to 43 range. Or maybe even a little higher. Maybe I'm sliding him. Maybe he's somewhere, 37 to 40, 37 to 42. Not an every day, not an every week starter, but a spot starter who you're not embarrassed, and the offense doesn't totally collapse when he's out there. And you're right. The Dolphins look across the field, and they ask themselves, would I rather have what the Titans have as a backup quarterback or what we're dealing with right now. I think the obvious answer is Mason Rudolph, who has won some games as a starter. I know Snoop Huntley was a Pro Bowler, but only in the small print, Mike, was he a Pro Bowler. Look at those numbers. He shouldn't have made the Pro Bowl. I mean, he's fine, but I think Rudolph is a better quarterback.
Well, and here's the difference, too, because I got some pushback last night when I pointed out on social media that of all teams in the NFL, the Dolphins should have had an established veteran presence. Snoop Huntley's been there 2 weeks. He's the guy you sign in March, not the guy that shows up and let's get him ready. You want to have the guy there so he is ready, so he's worked with the offense, so he's taken the reps, and it's not this crash course in everything to get you ready to play. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is to sign the guy middle of March like the Titans did when they signed Mason Rudolph, and he did not make the top 40. I don't know who was 41.
Ooh.
Maybe he was. Jarrett Stidham
what a loss.
Was 40. Jarrett Stidham, who is exactly what the Broncos need. In the event that Bo Nix gets injured, you need a guy who can come in and play. It's amazing to me that people who make a lot of money to make good decisions about roster construction would fail to be ready at the most important position on the entire roster of an NFL team. Okay, so, oh, and by the way, yeah, Brian Callahan maybe needs to work on getting the line right. He says Will Levis is 100% the starting quarterback when he's healthy. The way to pull this off, Brian, is to say Will Levis is the starter when he's 100%. Because then he's just never 100% until Mason Rudolph cools off. So, right church, wrong pew for Brian Callahan. Levis is the starter when he's 100%, not he's 100% the starter when healthy.
That's right. I'm sure Dad pulls him aside and says, "Son, this is how we do this, okay? Yeah. I've been here with some mediocre quarterbacks. This is how we sell this thing to the media. We'll try it again. We'll try it again next week."
Well, we talked about superpowers as it relates to Tua. The Mike Tomlin superpower is such that he's managed this Russell Wilson, Justin Fields situation where he's never had to say Russell Wilson's 100% the starter when healthy. He wouldn't say that. He hasn't even said Wilson is the starter when he's 100%. He's just basically, leave me alone. And it works. It's word salad, leave me alone. And it works. So, look, new head coaches got to learn a lot of things. Like Tony Dungy says, they came in and asked him, where do you want to stay when we go to Kansas City for the preseason? And he's like, why are you asking me? You're the head coach. These are the things you have to deal with. All right, we need to take a break. We'll be back with more PFT Live right after this. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.